There's so many plugins for Microsoft Flight Simulator that could make your head explode. Some good, some bad, some paid, and some free. But regardless of cost, there's one plugin I just could not live without, and that's Flow Pro. If you haven't heard of it, or maybe you're on the fence about buying it, then stick around as I give Flow Pro an overview and show you how I like to use it. Now, Parallel 42 did give me full access to try this out. However, this is not a sponsored video and no money was exchanged of any kind. So Flow Pro, what exactly is it? Well, Flow Pro is essentially a menu widget. Now, that sounds super simple, and in some ways it is, but this might just be one of the most powerful life improvement widgets you can get on Microsoft Flight Simulator. On the functionality side, it's extremely deep, and for me it completely replaces the standard top bar menu. It just makes flying so much better. So let's jump into the sim and have a look. I'm in the sim. I've already disabled my standard menu. I'm just going to be using Flow Pro. I don't know if you can see on that camera, maybe not, but I just have a button assigned to bring Flow Pro up. And you should be able to see Flow Pro on the screen there. Now I'm going to go through the way I use it. This whole plugin is so deep I'm barely scratching the surface. Look, let's start off with one of my favorite things, and that is the sim rate. So that's basically the speed at what the simulator is running. I actually mentioned sim rate to a friend over the weekend and they had no idea it even existed. It's quite a handy little thing. So you can essentially double and then 4x, 8x, 16x, 32x the speed that the sim is running at. If you get to altitude and you've got a fair way to go, you know, you can double or quadruple the speed of the sim just to get you through those longer sections. That's one of my favorite things, is it has to be the sim rate, and I use that almost every time that I fly. The next best thing, or my next favorite thing, is going to be time of day. And there's a few cool things about this little widget. The UI is spectacular. Now all you need to do is pick a time within this circular graph and you can see sunset, sunrise. Click it and the time will just flow around to whatever you've set it at, and then you can minus that by 1 minute, 15 minutes, 6 hours, 12 hours, and the same you can go plus 12 hours on the other side, plus 15 minutes. I mean, again, I use this every single time I sit in the sim. And the other handy little feature it's got is the pause. So that's just going to lock the time off. So if you want to fly in that golden hour and have that locked off for an entire session, then that is the way to do it. The weather is also a handy one that I have there. You know, you've got all the standard weather patterns that come with Microsoft Flight Simulator. A typical English day. Yep, it's grey and rainy. You've got light rain, wildfire, sandstorm, hot and humid, and yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Portal. Now, Portal for me, I don't fly often with friends, right? However, I do like to chop and change where I fly, and Portal it'll send you straight. You can have favourite airports selected. I don't know if you can see on the camera there. I have Gold Coast and Wellington International, in New Zealand. Now I can just click that and it'll ask me whereabouts I want to teleport to, and let's say I just go runway 34 on the ground, and the sim is literally just loading me straight into that area. It does take a minute. You have to wait for all the textures and all the graphical elements to load into the sim, but like that's me. I'm now sitting on runway 32 Wellington Airport, and let's just say I want to go back to Gold Coast. I'll select runway 14, and here we go. Bang, there I am. I'm back on runway 14. Now, I'll say again, it's not instant, but what was that? That was like 20 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. What are the ones? Position, sometimes I'll use that. It is handy, but most of the time, you know, I'm working with a G1000 and I'm using the PFD and MFD, so I don't use that so much. So you've got the main radial menu there, but then you've got a further 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got a further 5 of those menus. So if I cycle to the right, this menu is for the aircraft. Now I don't use this. A lot of my aircraft specific functions are dialed into the button box, this button box here, or the honeycomb throttle, and anything else, you know, I've got the keyboard sitting there. So I don't really use this. Some people may find it very useful. I mean, you've got things like your nav lights, beacon lights, your avionics master switch, battery master switch. You got your landing gear up and down. I don't use it, but it's, you know, it's there. Another handy one is your radios, your radio panel. So it gives you the standard COM 1, COM 2, standby 1, standby 2, and then I'll cycle through again to the cameras, which is actually a very handy little part of the widget. You know, you can put it on the orbit camera, which I often do during flights. You got your cockpit instruments. Again, I don't use it all that often, but it's there and it's very configurable. You know, you can add camera positions in here. And then the second last one, landing rate. Now, I love this landing rate. I'm going to cut just a little bit of footage to show you what it does and how it comes up and what it shows you. But essentially, it's going to give you your speed in feet per minute of your touchdown. You know, I love to see it. Every time I land, I'm always looking for it. It's brilliant. I don't use the controls visualizer or the acceleration visualizer. Again, I'll cut to a little bit of overlay here and let you see exactly what they do. It's kind of little, it's like a little, almost like a bar graph kind of thing with a little circle that moves along up and down as well to show you, just visualizes what you're doing with your controls. The wind visualizer, and if you want to see the wind, and you've got this go to 1004 feet. So I'll just show you this right now. If the plane is sitting on the runway, I can click this, it will take me straight up to 1004 feet, and quite clearly the plane has no speed. I'm sitting on idle throttle, so it will fall out of the sky, and here it goes. I mean, you can see it on the back camera, straight to 1004 feet, and straight to my grade. It was crashed out. I've loaded back into the sim. I'm going to bring FlowPro back up. I'm going to cycle back to the main menu. I'm going to click time, and I'll just stick it right in the middle of the day. Okay, so I'm going to briefly talk about one of the excellent customization kind of features. Let's say we look at position here. I just left click and hold. Now I can delete position. So let's say I'll delete it. Proceed. Now that square is empty. So you can, there's so much stuff in here. You can put in, it's quite incredible. You could have a completely custom radio menu designed the way you want it and the way that you fly. And one of the other cool things that I really like is folders. Now I can pull a folder option in here, give it a name, call it test. You can give it an icon or a label, but essentially we've just created a folder now. Inside that folder, you can double click and you've got a whole new radio menu. You can imagine you could have folders upon folders upon folders. It's such a neat way to populate a menu, especially if you want to go super in-depth with it. Like another one I just saw it there's toggle active pause off and on, toggle head tracking. Now that could be quite useful for people that use track IR. There's almost too much for me to talk about in here. I just have to try and simplify it to the way that I've ended up using it. There is free version and there's a pro version. Again, I'll stipulate this is the pro version I'm in right now, so I've got the full functionality. But bearing in the fact that there is a free version, there is absolutely no excuse for not trying this out. It's a funny thing, how can such a simple idea and implementation make such a big difference to the quality of life of this sim? I'm still finding it useful even 3 to 4 weeks into my testing. The true power of Flow Pro is in the Pro version, don't get me wrong about that. That's where the value lies for me. But that doesn't mean that the free version, which is just called Flow, isn't any good, because it's still super useful. It'll give you all the standard toolbar functions just in a much better, more intuitive and easy to use way. You've then got Flow Essentials at around $15 US. In this version you'll get things like the teleport function that I showed earlier, weather presets and so on. And then the version that I've been showing you, which is the Pro version. Now this is sold as, and I quote, efficiency is king, and I have to give that to them because it's right on. The customization options, the full tool set and the script editor for those that really want to deep dive. This plugin has got everything and more, and that's why I'm calling it the best plugin for Microsoft Flight Simulator you can currently buy. And at $30-ish US, I'm calling it an absolute bargain.